What is up, guys, and welcome back to the Sweat It Out podcast. Today we have a very special guest. She is an amazing fitness trainer. She believes in the unconventional styles of training and methods. I'm telling you, if you go see her right now in her videos, you would be with your jaw dropped.
Murdering it.
Woo! Guys, please help me welcome this amazing person, tremendous coach, Coach Sarah. How's it going?
Woo!
Hi, guys. Thank you so much. That's such kind words.
How you been?
Thank you. It's so nice to be here. I've been good. Staying super busy with coaching athletes and training myself, always chasing after like those strength gains. But I've been good. Life is wonderful, and no complaints here.
Well, that's always good to hear, especially, during times like these. Not everybody's going through the best of times, but when you do hear people who are making the best out of it and moving forward and trying to figure things out, and you can hear them saying, hey, I'm doing well, I'm doing good. It's always great to hear that. So
you still holding it down in NYC? You one of the last remaining survivors?
I am. And with that too, Anthony, I just feel like in the last year, especially, I guess we'll touch some base on that. It's like I really took time to focus on what can I control, what is lacking in life, and now how can I reprioritize those things. And so that's been like a huge focus in the last year. And so going into a new year, I'm like, yeah, life is good. I'm feeling great where I am professionally, personally, family, relationships. And I really think it's due to, some very expected circumstances that we've all have lived through and have just taken the time to be like, what can I do to keep myself happy and to continue to find growth within my little bubble? Yep. So yes, I am still holding it down in Manhattan. I'm probably one of the few, especially in the fitness industry, people, close friends, just people that I like, just acquaintances have been flocking out of this city, but it is my home. I've been here for over 10 years, 11 years, I think. My better half, he's been here for about 20. So continuing to just rock it here and doing what I can. Of course, I've made adjustments in the last year as far as with my own business and doing more virtual and online, which was a new adventure that I started back in April, May, and kind of had been like almost forced at that time into that virtual and online world, but have found a good balance of still doing in person, but also had opened up a new population as far as like people that aren't in Manhattan, and now I'm able to coach them. Yep. And so now I see people that are living all over the world, which has been really nice and refreshing.
Well, and I think we can definitely agree that this time has really exposed and put a lot of trainers out for the testing in the online world, and really build a different approach to their business and what they're doing to be able to move forward and succeed. And it's really remarkable to hear a lot of coaches who might have not been doing too much online and then really shifting over, testing things out, experimenting, seeing what wasn't working for them, what is working for them, and how they continue to grow with that. Now, you mentioned, moving into the new year, you're like, I'm happy, I'm in a good space, I'm doing good. What are some of those things that are making you happy, having you do good, versus when you first started going into the online world? What are some of those differences between then and now, and what would we see going forward with you and your business?
Yeah, prior to this year, I had always thought about dabbling into the online because that's kind of where the industry was going, and more people are like, that's the future of the fitness, you should go in there, you should. And I think I'm not alone on this, that many times we do things that just because we're told we should, but that's not necessarily the best choice for us. So, launched a couple of online programs and trained. I do have clients that I train just remotely for programming, and I found though that what I really like love and just need in my life and in my like professional life is still that face-to-face time, whether I'm looking at a screen or it is in person in a gym with a client. And that's what I truly enjoy being able to do, is that live interaction with people. So it is great that, I'm able to still have online programs and other people are able to do some of the work that I've created through that. But everyone that has gone through those programs, I'm like, how are they doing? I really need to see more of them. And so, and I'm actually still, I'm in the process of programming a new one that will be launched in the spring. So I'm going to continue with that, but I realized I was like, that's not your sole focus, Sarah. I really enjoy having that live one-on-one time with people, and just have decided to diversify how it is, whether it's in person or on a screen, because I also know that I would not do well just like hours of training people through the screen. So that was definitely a learning experience. And going into like the new year, I really have realized and have decided that, okay, just, doing solely online, that is no, will you still do it here and there? Yeah. Like I said, I have a strength and performance program that will include barbell and kettlebells that's coming out in the spring. But I don't want to put all of my energy in those baskets.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's
also,
really.
I used to.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead, please. No, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was
just going to say, so realizing like what.
Please.
Yeah, it's a lag going on.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a lag. It's okay. Go ahead. Sorry, I do not mean to interrupt you.
Oh, no, you're okay, guys. So I guess just realizing what you really want to do and finding out who is that community that really speaks to you. And so I also found that through this year of going virtual with classes. Like I do teach 2 live classes a week. And for a while I was trying to build it up in the gym last year. And it just wasn't really taking off. And I was like, I know this works. I know people enjoy this. I've seen it on social media. I've seen it in other places. What's happening? Why aren't people coming in to take this class? And the moment I shifted into virtual, I found that community and I realized they're just not in Manhattan because they come and they've been so dedicated. I see them twice a week since April, and there's people from all over the country and world. And I'm like, okay, yes, there you are. And that was also the silver lining of just switching it over to virtual, of being able to reach people that are not necessarily in my Manhattan bubble. So I don't ever want to just virtual either when it comes to like a class situation, but I am so happy that I launched like live virtual classes because I found like that community and we continue to build it. And being able to teach people that are from like New Jersey, Arizona, Kuwait, Brazil, Italy, like all over. And I'm like, you guys are all moving together as one, but in our own homes, has been like really, really, just eye-opening and just, I think, super cool. And I was not expecting that in the last year, and continue to plan to do that going into the new year.
That's absolutely phenomenal to hear. Honestly, I'm super happy to hear that you've been able to make a transition and find that shift while also still, keeping yourself grounded with what you really enjoy. And we haven't really heard a ton of stories about people. I mean, we've talked about it, about how you can diversify the way you have instead of just going all in online, right? Because that's been a huge emphasis so far, has been, oh, you gotta push your business all online. You got to drop all the in-person clients. And we are true firm believers, as you are, that in-person training has a role, right? It will never go away. It should never go away. we still need, I still train a couple of people in person, even though my business is mostly online. And it helps me kind of fine tune it a little bit and fine tune my programs and still be able to hear on a daily basis, like the actual real life problems that people are facing, so that I can help more people through my online platforms, so it's been great to hear, or it is great to hear, that you've been able to find so many avenues with, online training, in-person training, virtual classes, real classes that, there isn't this one size fits all for the fitness community, right? It's more about, how are you going to get your message across to the people who need it most in a way that you can scale that fits your schedule and what you really want. So I'm super happy to hear that, you've been able to really find that success and find that balance between so many different, essentially products that you're pushing out, which is phenomenal. How has it been for you being able to balance, having what is essentially really like 3 or 4 different silos that your business is run with? How do you find that balance between, do I take on more in-person clients? Do I do more online virtual classes? Do I do more Zoom training? What has really worked for you?
Yeah, I think I was able to find this balance because I'm solely now just working for myself, which is, there are definitely like scary moments of it and nerve-wracking, but it's also so empowering. And for quite a few years, I was still doing like my personal full-time business of training clients, but then I was also working full-time for another gym too. And so I really had experience like burning the candle at both ends. And so when everything just happened last year, I just took a moment. I was like, I never want to have to rely on someone else. I want to be able to focus this energy to build out my own business and making sure that I maintain that balance of work, but also Sarah time and family and my better half time. And so I'm like super, super organized, where I have like spreadsheets and color coded everything as far as like how is the time divided, how is like what is coming in and from where, and it helps me really see where do I want to see growth and how can my time be best suited. Since I do enjoy like one-on-ones so much, now I'm really just focusing on, okay, how can I do it a little bit more efficient? Doing semi-private, 2 to 3 people. I would like to take on maybe one more client there, and then I'm capped. And I'm pretty much capped there. And so then I was looking at, okay, you dabbled with the online, and you have 2 programs out, but knowing those were my first one, there was a lot more room for growth for those. So what do I want to do moving forward with that? I want to spend a little bit more time fine-tuning this new program that I'm putting out. How can I do it to make it even fuller program for people? So figuring out how do I want to divide up my time? Where do I want to see growth? When it comes to like virtual classes, I think I've pretty much have found my cap with that too. When I first started in the industry, I only did classes and I taught a lot of them. And so over the last 3 years, I'm like, I want to teach less classes, more one-on-one. And so now I only teach 3 classes a week. And I'm like, I am good. And I've had people asking me, can you do more? Can you add this time slot? Can you add that? And being okay saying no too. So I think especially in the industry when it can fluctuate so much, people are so eager to say yes. It's always nice to have things to say yes to, but I think staying true to one's vision and where you want to take your own business is truly important. So okay to say no if it hinders like your big picture. So have to remind myself of that. So
yeah,
that's how I've been able to kind of manage everything.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, no is one of my favorite words. He'll tell you all about, I tell him no 45, 50 times a day. We need to do this. No, we're not going to do that.
And then I have to throw in a no every now and then just to match it.
Yeah.
If not,
If not, I'm just that grumpy old man spraying people off his lawn.
exactly. So Sarah, for yourself, seeing, the success you've been building, you have these online courses. Obviously, you're saying you're working on another one. You're pushing out another one. What are some of the marketing tactics that you're using, or what are some of the tools that you're using and platforms you're using to get these programs out and your message across, to get them run in front of the right people and bring in that clientele?
So I use a lot of like social media as to help with that. The amount of time and energy that was put into my website and design and that, and I found very little do I actually get like work from that, or people see that. And the biggest thing when it comes to either new clients or people have seen, oh, you're doing a class, you're doing this giveaway, you're doing this workshop, was mainly through social media. And so that's such it's a double-edged sword, because it can be used for a lot of good, and if used correctly, you can see a lot of growth in a business. But then there's the other end of it, and the not so good. And so I have used that a lot when it comes to just delivering messages, using it even as a marketing tool, and using it more for business. It used to be just for fun. And then really just using it, though, to focus on building on my newsletter and subscriptions, because those are the people too, that I see in class, I see in retreats, I see they're doing programs. So that's a community too that I also really try to build and focus. Those the people that are part of that, I see them time and time again, whether they've one program, now they've done two, they started with a program, now I see them in class weekly. So also just focusing on building that subscription base.
That's great.
Yeah.
We got to say community is a huge thing. And if you can build a true community, you can definitely push the message you want to cross, and it really gets out to these people, and then they want to continue working with you. In social media itself, what tools in social media have you noticed have been your best go-tos that really drive your message and your programs out? What tools, let's say for Instagram, what tools inside of Instagram or inside of Facebook or inside of TikTok or inside of any platform you use have you noticed are your biggest ones that you get the most traction?
Honestly, I don't know if it's just me and you guys. I would love to hear a little bit of your experience, but I haven't been able, I keep racking my brain of okay, how can I generate? How do I generate? Is it through this? Is it through that? And I keep finding that is it's random. It's random. So I've tried to do different promotions, whether they're paid, unpaid, or I think okay, this is going to launch, this is going to be big, gain a lot of traction, there'll be a lot of interaction with it, and then nothing. And then I think this, won't be as successful, and then it blows up. And so I really and at least on my experience, I haven't found anything that's consistent. And I wasn't sure if that's you guys have experienced that, or just recently if it's happened. So yeah, I wanted to it's always been very random for me.
Yeah.
But I wanted to get your opinion if you've had any of that.
I mean, I find pockets, right? So I would say specific parts of my community or in my following really quotable things. I'll share the shit out of quotes that I'll share. I have other people that'll share and comment and DM me privately about, the different workouts I do. So I think it's really about just finding what people are going to find a ton of value. And you're right. It's usually shit that I don't even expect to do well. And the stuff that I'm I spent $250 to make this dope hype video, and then I get no traction off of it. And then I put out, my post today was about, what gets scheduled gets done. The shit got shared 40 times already. You know, I'm like, it took me 4 seconds to make this clip on this, you know, the static post on Canva, but I shot this hype video for 6 hours, and no one cared about that. Everyone cared about the quote. You know, so I think it really just depends on like who you're going to try to target and what they're digesting and what they want to share with their group, you know, their network and their friends. And, you know, once you kind of find that sort of formula and you just kind of recreate that, then over time, you know, you'll start to get with more consistency, more interaction.
And also too, you know, you're seeing, why do you see the growth of IG Reels, you see TikTok, for example. These are platforms that are not heavy quality, aesthetically pleasing pieces of content. They're not. They're probably not the types of content you're putting the most money and time in.
Unless you live in a TikTok house.
Yeah, unless you live in a But besides that, they're doing amazing. People are getting a lot of shares, a lot of views, a lot of stuff on these pieces of content by just being creative with what's in the actual tool itself and what you can use in there. And the thing is that it's relatable with a lot of people. You know, a lot of people want to see that human touch, that human interaction of like, okay, he's not always the promo, high quality person. You know, seems like, oh my God, they're not human, they're perfect. You don't want to give that impression every single time. You want to be able to also give the impression of like, okay, guys, I'm still human. Like, this is me raw. I'm giving you raw content. And that's what hits home for a lot of people. Now, does it mean you shouldn't be posting other good quality content? No, you know, you just got to know how to cycle it through on a consistent basis. So if you do have something that you want to drop that might be promoting a new program, you might go around creating a better quality video for it, or you're dropping something else and you're integrating that into your social media cycle of posting, then that's great. You know, and that's kind of what I tell people all the time. You want to have a healthy schedule of different types of posts that are, you know, high quality pictures, raw pictures, high quality videos, raw videos. And then really on stories, the best content that does on stories, all raw content. Because in stories, people just want to see what you're doing now. So don't really waste your time trying to get the most high quality, spent money, type of content on stories. Honestly, it doesn't do that great. The ones are the ones in the moment, raw. You just show it into the world for what you're speaking out at that time and place, and that's what people want to see. And then you got, you know, IGTV with your long format. You know, you can have the advantage of just creating long form content, and the same thing goes. You know,
now they just push that to 4 hours.
I know they push it to 4 hours. Yeah. So imagine that. You know, now you're competing with. You can even compete with like YouTube and stuff like that in these longer form contents, but I would say on there it's just the same thing. Have a high quality, have a more raw style of content. You know, so flip-flopping back and forth really adds a human element to making people feel more comfortable and relatable when it comes to seeing your content, but also seeing that, man, they still do really good work. This is why they're successful too. This is why they've grown. They still put good other high quality pieces of content around this as well. And then lastly, I would say, you know, push content that shows who you are as a person. Like, everybody knows all of us for being coaches. They don't want to know us more about being coaches. They want to know who the hell is Sarah, who the hell is Josh, who the hell is Anthony as a person. What do they like to do? What is it where do they like to hang out? What are their hobbies? What's their personality? How do they sound? How do they talk? And if you can share that, your lifestyle integrated with what you do as a coach, you best believe that you're going to make more connections out of that. And that's where most of the time people actually sign up to work with you as a coach, due to the fact that there's so many coaches out there that what they want to choose you as a coach for is for who you are as a person. And that's plain and simple.
What do you...
100%. And those are some really good tips.
No. Continue. I was just going to kind of double down on what he said and then get your take.
Yeah, Josh, I was going to say I had the same experience as far as like high quality footage, like it's so creative. We spent hours on it. My videographer like did all the everything. And then those end up being like flops maybe, or just not a lot of traction. And then I put up a video. I like had even just my iPhone like up against some weights, just recorded me doing whatever, like super like my own editing and everything. And I was like, wait, and then that gets more shares, that gets more saves. And so with that, I too have just realized of like simple, at least those that are part of my community, they just want workouts real quick, like 15, 20 minutes or a finisher, something to go with their circuit. And so like, that's one thing too that I've realized too of like cycling through, whether it's just a kettlebell complex or now here's a core cash out, here's a full workout, like cycling through different options, but I'm doing like workout options, tutorials and educational, or like me being completely my creative like self of like, here's a flow, I'll do it. And some like it, some do it, but I found that most success was like, okay, here's 4 movements, do it on the clock, you know, or for reps, whatever it changes, but found that like, that's what really have wanted. And those tend to be the most successful.
Yeah. And I think, you know, just to kind of go off of your point and extrapolate off of that is, you know, we've heard so much in the fitness industry, like, oh, you have to find your niche. You have to find your niche. But so many people focus on their niche being like the tool that they use or like the type of movement that they do. You know, like you're the flow guy or you're the kettlebell guy or you're, you know, one label I've tried to buck over the years is like, oh, well, you're the steel mace guy. It's like, no, I use a steel mace, but I help, my niche is like, I help these types of people. Like
you are the steel mace guy.
God damn it. God, but you know, like, no, my niche is not the tool that I use. It's not the training system that I use. It's the people that I help, right? Like I help these specific, like I help very busy, you know, professionals and executives, like dampen down all the chaos and stress that goes around trying to be healthy while you travel and all that, so that you can take action and stop worrying about what you need to do. You know, those are the people I help. The tools I use depends on, I hate you. Depends on, I just need to strangle him. Something. But, you know, the tool I use is dependent on what they have available to them and what they like using. Like if you fucking hate using the steel mace, which I have clients who have trained with me for 4 or 5 years who tell me if you ever bring the mace, I'm walking out the door, you know? So I never bring the mace in with them because I want to keep them as a client and I like making money and I like making sure that they are able to get their job. You know, they're able to see the success and see their goals hit. But the tool's meaningless to me. I could do the same thing with body weight that I could do with a dumbbell, that I could do with a kettlebell, that I could do with a mace. Who I help with is the niche, you know? And too many people are thinking about the social media side of it where they're like, oh, I'll look cool if I can do all of these kettlebell flows all the time. It's like, yeah, but you're losing 95% of your audience who just wants to be able to do like move around without their hip hurting. You know, they don't care if they can do rotational cleans into a Turkish getup. They don't care. They want to be pain free. You know, they want to understand how to get shit done without having to go buy $40 worth of fit tee and a waist trainer. You know, that's what they want to do. So if you can niche that instead of worrying about what tool you're using, you know, and I'm not not talking about you specifically, but people in the field in general, you know, because I think you do a great job of intermixing body weight and kettlebells and your own personal story and, you know, your clients and all the great stuff that you're doing. I just wish more people would focus less on like looking cool on Instagram and focus more on like, who are the people who really need my help, who I believe I can help the most.
And then I think on top of that, you know, I think this for even good or bad, for good coaches and even the coaches out there who might not be as great but are trying to climb up the ladder and become better, you have to understand too that when it comes to the content portion of it, going back to what we were saying, like noticing that even the not best shot content out there that you edit yourself is doing better because of IG Reels and TikTok giving you the tools to be able to build it on the spot. There's no excuses anymore, guys. Like, stop the excuses. Stop the complaining that I don't have the best content and I don't know what to start with. You got the tools within the tools. Like, just go put content out there. That's it. Just put content out there. And as you start growing and making money and getting the things in place, then you can start hiring a videographer and add a little flavor to this and do that and continue mixing in your content around. But start with what you have, because what you have is plenty, and you will continue to succeed with that. And then again, going with what Josh was saying, like, you know, when you hone into your true niche and you start off with what you have of how you can create your content, it's gonna go a long way, because just the fact that you're putting a piece of content out there, that they're giving it for you to be able to build, and then you really know how to hone into your true message and your niche, and you put it out there, that's what's going to bring you the attraction. That's what people want to hear, all right? Because it doesn't matter how great quality the video is, but if your messaging and your niche isn't solidified and down packed, then nobody gives a shit. Nobody's going to come and work with you. So for everybody listening out there, you got to just go out there and make shit happen. That's it. We're in the time and era to make shit happen. You have all the tools. I think we actually have more than what we need. And that's why people aren't doing things. Yeah. We have way more than what we need, and people are not doing things because of that specific reason, because they're getting so overwhelmed and they're overthinking about it. And they're like, well, but there's this tool and there's that tool. And then there's TikTok and then there's Instagram. And then now there's Clubhouse. And then everybody's like, let me get on everything. And then I don't start with one. Just start with one, guys. Start with one, because your community can be on one. Pick the one that you know your community is going to be the best in, and then start with that, and you'll see success.
Yeah, I think you really triggered him, Sarah, over here. Now I'm going to have to deal with this. You got him all fired up.
Yeah, but you're absolutely right. It's like there are no excuses. And for maybe those trainers that are new or like trying to build a platform or trying to build, self in the industry, you just fine tune what you do and true to it as well, because instead of like externally and being like, that trainer's doing that person's doing that was a cool trick with that tool, like taking ownership with what you do and same having it be very clear too. But the only way that anyone can do that is through practice. And so practice like content and know like maybe the first few will be a little shaky, but still put it out there and then look at it and see like, how do you want to improve, anything lagging. And, but just taking ownership of what you do, because there are so many human beings out there and we all connect to different trainers for various reasons. It's again, not the tool. It's not your, the program. It's, it's that relationship. It's that energy. That's why people too are also drawn to like you guys, to me, so, but until you do that, until you start practicing creating content and owning the style that you have or the message that you have, you won't be able to grow or build a business, and you'll just be like, what if? Oh, I wish I did that. And no, just do it.
Mm-hmm. Well,
so I'm right there with you.
And that's why in-person training, is so important, especially early on in someone's career, right? Like we had someone hit us up like, do you need we did our 100th episode a little while ago, and someone wrote into us and they asked like, do you need a personal training certification to be able to train people online? It's like, well, the answer is yes. You need one, because if not, you're going to fuck people up and hurt them. But if you don't have a personal training certification, you should probably, and you want to coach people online, like that's fine, but start with people in person, take them through some reps. Like you have to see what people are actually going through as they're moving, right? As they're training, what are their problems with their technique? What are common problems that most people have, right? If someone comes to you online, they're like, well, I have low back pain when I deadlift, obviously it'd be good to see a video of what they're doing so you can critique it. But I already have 15 things that I can assume, right, they're probably not doing that's leading to that back pain based off of the thousands of people that I've trained face-to-face over the years, right? And I think that's why we need such a good mix of in-person training, people who are going to continue to do that, because even for people like me who are really moving away from that, I still need to have conversations with people like you to say, hey, Sarah, like, what are some common things that your clients are going through right now, because they're going to be different 5 years from now, 10 years from now than what they are now. And if I'm completely out of the game, but still need to help people online, I'm going to get my information from you, or people like you.
Yeah. And that's why I think the hybrid method is going to be important. I think it's going to be
massive.
Huge. We're moving forward. There's going to be more hybrid coaching where it's the in-person and the online that blend and mix, making you realize I can still meet with this person, maybe not 3 or 4 times a week in person, but maybe we meet once or twice in person, and then we do the rest online. But you still have that in-person factor, so that when you do the online work, they know what they're doing. They know what to expect. You know what to see and coach them through, because you've seen it already a few times with them in person, that you're like, okay, now I understand the way they're moving. I've seen it in person. So when I see it online, I already know what they're talking about. If they're feeling discomfort, or if they're telling me something, or they don't have, or they're not getting the feedback they should be getting from this movement or drill, and now I can address it correctly. So I do believe that the hybrid model is going to continue to grow and really expand from there, because like Josh says, coaching in person is never going to die.
Hopefully.
I think, hopefully, you could say hopefully, but I don't think say completely, at least not now or for a while. But in-person coaching is going to still be around, and I think it still has its very strong place due to the fact that it's in person. You can't relate that really online, not yet, unless they create something down years later. But right now, you're going to see a big shift moving forward, that even more, and we've seen it with COVID. But even after, when people can actually really see people again, like really see people and actually touch people, you're going to see that hybrid model is going to really ramp up.
I completely agree with that too. And in fact, I have a couple of clients that are on that model as well, as far as like I see them one to two times a week, but then they also have their program to do on their own. And I tell them, I was like, I'll never have you thing like in your gym or in the gym that we've never done before, because I don't know how you're going to execute it, or you might not know how to execute it as soundly as I would like. So, but it's all things that they've done. They're people that I've been working with for a while. I'm like, okay, you're good to go and work on those things. And I think the athlete also has that sense of empowerment, because now they have like confidence to go into a gym on their own and do that. And I have like quite a few athletes that when they first started working with me, that was the number one goal, was like, I want to be confident going into the gym, being able to hit like the training area and not feel lost. And now seeing them that they're able to take ownership of the work that they've done, and now they have their, whether it's their partner or gym buddy, they're like, okay, you can also do my program that Coach Sarah's having me do. And they're like, or just like explaining like, okay, we need to set up the cable machine like this. You got to hold the bell like that. And I think that's also, like, that's super cool, because even though like we've all have had our athletes for a while, and but it's more than just because for technique or how to do certain things, because I think you get to a point where it's like they move technically sound, they could do it on their own, but we're still obviously working together, but being able to do some things on their own where we really don't need to be there. So I agree. The hybrid method is going to, I think, to grow. And it's just a good way for trainers to be able to grow their business too. So now instead of seeing them 3 or 4 times a week, you can just see them once a week, and then they do their programming, or twice a week, and then 2 days off, or check in for like some technique stuff, different, they can come up with it. But I think that's a really, really great model to be able to build a business.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you shared your experience with the hybrid model so far, because from everyone I've talked to, and I've been promoting that for a lot of my friends here in Miami, and a lot of them are like, oh, I just don't, I don't think my client's going to buy in, and I understand that, right? But it's like, if you really think about what people want, people who are driven, people who are really out there to accomplish goals, they don't want, to be coddled through life. They don't need you there counting every rep like you were saying, right? They can handle shit on their own. And if they don't think they can, they definitely can. They just need you to tell them, like, you don't need me to sit there and hold the bottle for you, 4 days a week. Like, I'll come in here and help clean some stuff up for you like you're doing with your clients. And then the rest of the time, like, in order for you to succeed, you need to figure shit out on your own. Yep. So we're going to test that, and see how that works. And then if you really love it, you already have your online programs, which I'd love to get into. So you can always push them onto that, and then you can fill those hybrid models with other people, right? So it's always like this way to circle people through, but it's teaching your clients that like it's okay for me not to be there holding your hand through everything. You're gonna be fine, you know. You've found a lot of success with that, and you know, I'm happy that you were able to share
and I
that.
think, yeah, and I think it's just the trainer, the coach, setting the tone and the expectation right away with the client and the athlete of, I will help you set up the equipment, especially if it's like a newbies, but like to have them go grab, you know, the 212 kgs, bring them on over here. And they're like, yep, okay. Okay. Or the cable machine. Okay. We're going to do some face pulls. All right. Yep. You know how to work it. And that's just part of your sessions too, of giving the athletes the tools that they can, so they can go and do it their own. If you're constantly setting everything up, counting reps, things like that, then you're really a crutch, and you're not teaching them how to be able to grow on their own. So yes, but it starts with just setting up the expectations and the tone when it comes from for coach to athlete.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have a couple of minutes left here, and I don't want to let you go without hearing about some of these programs that you have going on, because I want you to be able to promote that. I think that you're, you know, I've known you for quite a while now. We've had a ton of interaction, especially, you know, our times at On It right in Austin, Texas. So, you know, what are I know you said you had 2 programs that are out right now. What are those programs, and how can people reach out to you to learn more about them?
Sure. So I created a movement system called Kettlebell Strong, and it's a hybrid of kettlebell and body weight primal movements done in a creative fashion. So it's Kettlebell Strong. That's a 4-week program, and it's progressive. So week 1, you're figuring out what are all those movements. It includes mobility work, activation, huge on a strong core. Comes to our strength, that's where it begins. So there's a lot of just not specifically like this is your core activation, but even in the strength, so these hidden core exercises. And so there are 2 days of strength, and then there are more conditioning, like high intensity, that's paired with some power movements when it comes to kettlebell, like swings, cleans, snatches, and then also body weight movements. And then you also have a flow day. That's a mixture of complexes and then flow work. And then Kettlebell Strong 2.0 is builds upon that. So more advanced movements, more like the tactical stats, all double windmills. So it just builds off of what Kettlebell Strong is. And that's also a 4-week program, 6 days a week. It includes 1 decompression day because people love to go into it, sweat it out, but sometimes forget to just set that time aside to let our body recover and also warm them up too. So mobility is also super key in those 2 programs. Best way to them would be through my website, Coach Sarah, Coach-Sarah. And then also I have it featured up on Instagram accounts, also Coach Sarah, try and keep those things simple. So those are out there now. And then I picked up a program that I actually did last winter, and I tested it out on myself and a couple other people, and now I'm going, and then it's just been sitting in my spreadsheets, and I'm gone back through and I'm expanding it. It was 6 weeks. I'm going to expand it out into a 12-week program, days a week, and that is a strength and performance program. So with bell work and kettlebell work, because even though I've become known as a kettlebell flow coach, most of the people that I work with, we do a lot of barbell work, and I've spent years coaching with that tool as well. And so I'm super excited to get this one ready and launch it out in the spring.
Yeah, that's great. You'll have to let us know.
Yeah,
we'll promote the hell out of it when you release that for sure. I'm excited. I can't wait to see that come out.
Yeah. No, I want to say personally, once again, thank you for coming on and sharing what you've experienced as a coach through your growth, moving from in person to doing online, the hybrid style, what's worked for you, what's haven't worked for you, and just coming on here and really dropping value on everybody, and also as well sharing your programs and what you got coming on new in the new year. It's definitely great to see coaches like yourself setting an example for other coaches, letting them know that you can do this too. You have the opportunity to put yourself out there and be an online coach, hybrid coach, and succeed and be able to get the right clients in front of you and start winning. You want to say anything, Josh?
No, I mean, one last thing I would say is, like I said, I've known you for such a long time, and it's great to see, all the growth that you've had and to, now hear kind of the little nitty gritty behind all of the work that you've been putting in. It's been amazing. And, I hope the best for you in 2021. And, if there's anything that myself or Anthony can do to help you with anything, please just let us know.
100%. Yeah, would definitely love to help you out. Now, I always wrap up the podcast with a question. What's the biggest piece of advice you can leave off to all our listeners today in one sentence?
I really focus on what truly makes you happy. Make sure that you set time aside every day to do that one thing, whether it is a walk, meditation, your fitness, sitting down and having with your partner, whatever it is so important to time for yourself and to make sure that keep your happiness, your health a priority.
You
I
guys
love
heard
it.
it
Everyone,
from Coach
coaches,
Sarah.
non-coaches, all of us.
Love it. Thank you so much again for coming on, Sarah. Make sure
Thank you guys
everyone
so much.
listening to this, check out Sarah on Instagram, check out her website. Amazing coach. She's going to help you guys achieve a lot of your goals.
Get it.
Thanks, Sarah. Until next time, everybody.